Elinor Frey from Seattle, Washington is here with us all weekend long here in Syracuse for one reason or another, and we'll get to that in just a bit. But Elinor Frey, who is as charming with what she has to say as she is with the music that she elicits from her cello. Welcome to the program.
Thanks so much for having me.
How did someone who is so 21st century, so technologically, you're just adept. I've seen some of the electronic devices that you have. How did you become interested in Baroque cello?
Well, I guess it's kind of fun to spend half your day with a computer that's all hooked up to the rest of the world, and then the other half your day with just a wooden box that doesn't move unless you pick it up and just resonates. And it's sort of simple and it sort of takes you to the basics of life and history, and it's a good balance, I think.
Tell us about the cello that you're playing here today.
Well, this particular cello is German and was made in the 18th century, around, say, 1780. And you probably know that these days Italian instruments fetch a lot of money, especially if they're really old. So no actual musician can afford it. But it's fortunately there are still some wonderful instruments that the auctioneers haven't gotten hold of, and so I'm lucky to have an original. The neck was never altered, so it's in sort of the condition it was made, and that's fun for me to explore when I'm playing this kind of early music. Maybe it's not the exact instrument for the exact piece, but it works.
What's the difference between a modern cello and a Baroque cello, just briefly?
Well, one of the most important things is that the strings are made out of sheep's or ram's gut, and they're dried, Yum. And it's sort of an alchemy, to turn this mushy gut into a string that makes a beautiful tone, and that creates a really different color and actually technique in playing on it, and also some little internal things, the shape of the bridge, the angle of the neck, some little things inside, and no end pin. And all that just contributes to a different style of playing.
I told you she was charming. The watch her feet, because that's how she holds the cello, and you on the radio as well. What are you going to perform first?
The first piece I'll play is by a cellist from the 18th century named Giuseppe Maria Clemente dall'Abaco, and his family's from the Verona area of Italy. And he was so famous when he was alive that he was, you know how people can be given nobility, and that happened to him, and he toured around as a cellist and was very beloved, but somehow didn't make it into our consciousness in the 21st and 20th century. And so I'm very happy to be one of the people who's bringing back his music. And so he wrote 11 caprices for solo cello, and this is the first one.
Capriccio Primo, and this is Elinor Frey here on Classic FM. I noticed that you arrived here today with almost no entourage. In fact, you are chief cook and bottle washer of the brand that is Elinor Frey.
Well, I don't know if I'm a brand. I'm a musician and trying to do all I can. So
What is it that inspires you? What inspires you to do this? I mean, you've just flown in from Holland, and boy, your arm's tired. and you're going to Toronto soon, and then you're going to is it Colombia? Yeah, isn't Colombia soon? But you're here for this weekend. What is it that inspires you?
I guess that it's very interesting to be a cellist, especially when you pursue the variety of things that I do. I'm never bored.
Well, now that variety includes not a 4-string but a 5-string cello. Now, what does that involve? Where did that come from?
Well, I was really in this project of finding early cello music. I learned that the cello is not just an instrument that is specifically tuned a certain way with certain size with certain strings. It's more like a family, and they could be bigger or smaller, different tunings, different number of strings. So I'm really exploring this idea of the 5th string that goes higher, and that allows me to play a lot of virtuosic, fancy stuff higher up, and it also allows me to steal violin repertoire, which I really like.
And violinists are on your trail even as you speak.
And also, I guess that's really important. The inspiring aspect is to search for these new ways of understanding cello and its history and its past. And you could research even 10 years ago what was happening. There's always research, and a performer is a researcher, I think, and that's important. And then to offer it to the public and to say, try this and listen to this, and to engage with them about that. And that's really exciting for me to come up with something and work on it a really long time and read about it and go places, and then to sort of hand it to them and say, hey, what do you think? And
here's what I've discovered. It's exciting to me too. Tell me about Palais de Musica. Your quartet.
It's a quartet of cello and violin, and also harpsichord and theorbo. So it's a big bass section. The theorbo is like a very big lute, which is a kind of a old guitar. Well, they're not related, but anyways.
But very big. Very big piece.
It's a longer conversation. And yes, and our theorbo player has the biggest one, and it's a freak show at the airport, really. So we are trying to tour around and play concerts and just the same kind of thing, play some of the well-loved composers like that people know about, Bach and Corelli, but also some of the lesser known, and hopefully get audiences to not be afraid of music they've never heard of. And that's fun for us, and to be expressive. And we're very lucky we won the Early Music America Music America Baroque Performance Competition last year, and that's allowed us to get a little more attention and confidence. And then we also recorded a CD of Venetian music. It's coming out in April. That's soon.
That's almost
just back. Yeah. That's fun to have a project that's collaborative, and I do a lot of things on my own, and it's good for me to work with other people and to do their ideas too, not just mine. Yeah.
You're a lot of soloists. How do you get along together?
Exactly. I mean, a lot of discussion and patience and trust, and doing what other people want. I mean, there's definitely, for example, in our recording, there's one section of a piece where I totally disagree with the tempo, and they probably feel the same about a few things, and they gave in here and I gave in there, and that's great.
Palais de Musica is going to be the guests of Syracuse Friends of Chamber Music next March 7th. That's in 2015, so that's the next performance season. Palais de Musica will be here in Syracuse, and you'll be back. I'm hoping maybe the whole quartet will be here.
Yes, of course. That would be wonderful.
I meant here is what I would...
Count us in.
What else do you have for us this noontime? I know you've got at least a couple of other pieces that you can perform for us. This is Elinor Frey, and she's joined us live at noon today here on Classic FM. She is an internationally renowned cellist. She laughs at herself, but it's true. I mean, you're from all over. I mean, she's from Seattle, Washington, but recently received your PhD in music from McGill. And what else do you have for us this noontime?
Well, I was really interested to play for you all a piece that nobody else is playing, because I took a picture of it in a library, and you can see it's just a printed out copy of that photo. And
should we be looking for someone at the door with a badge trying to?
No, I paid my €1 per page to. It's legal, but and that's part of the fun, is that. I really love the Bach suites, and a lot of the standard repertoire is so wonderful for the cello, but I don't want to necessarily stop there. And I think in order to understand Bach better, I really had to search for the music that was being written at the same time or before, and to see what his influences, and that just helped me understand a lot of Baroque music, to play a big variety. And so this is part of the idea that the job is not finished, and you can keep searching and keep finding more and more. So I feel like join me in this search for new music.
What's this title, and who wrote this?
I guess it's anonymous, but I think I believe it's by Angelo Maria Fiore, who was a Milan-born cellist, and so I guess I would call it a sonata. Yeah.
Elinor Frey. Should be subtitled, perhaps, Bows of Fire, because it just goes flying. Your fingers are flying across the neck of the cello. It is just wonderful to watch. I see people saying, I could never do that. It's
It takes only 25 years of daily practice. Yeah.
right, like finding Carnegie Hall. I get it. Tell me, what are you doing to help nurture the next generation of musicians?
Well, I teach privately, and I teach sometimes master classes, and someday think I'll teach at a university. I think that it just is a big variety of things, but very specifically here in Syracuse, there is a wonderful program that has started for just a few years at the Cathedral Academy of Pompeii, and they offer music classes, lessons in world music and classical music to mostly disadvantaged kids who need a place to go after school and also to be inspired by music and fall in love with music.
They have a wide variety of nationalities that attend.
Yes, often they're children of recent immigrants. And so I guess the common language is music. And there's nothing better to to get kids to have confidence and nurture real strong friendships than by learning an instrument. At least I found that in school. It was essential to my health as a young person.
My daughter played cello. Did you find that you used to hide behind the cello? Was that the reason you chose it? Because I think that's why she chose it a little bit.
No, and in fact, it was a little bigger than me for a lot of my
Hiding?
Yeah. I guess if I had to do it all over again, I might play the violin because the whole like airplane thing gets a little crazy. But
How do you travel? Do you have a seat for your cello or celli?
sometimes, but I have a very good case that protects it if it needs to go under the plane. But just to get back to the
Okay, back to our.
yeah so there's a benefit concert tomorrow night at St. Paul's. St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral, 220 East Fayette Street, downtown Syracuse. Thank you. At 7 p.m. And the money raised for that will help support this programs, and it also helps employ people who are making their living playing classical music excellently, and that's really important to support those people who are professionals, and to know that they need an income too. So it employs musicians and it helps kids. So I encourage anyone to come to the concert. They're gonna it's tomorrow night, March 28th, Friday, for the symphonic music program. It's a benefit at St. Paul's Episcopal Cathedral.
You're also in town because you're playing with Vision of Sound. You've really made this quite a long weekend for us to enjoy your music. Vision of Sound with the Society for New Music is on Saturday night in New York City at Jan Hus Presbyterian Church, but back again here in Central New York on Sunday at 7 p.m. Sunday at 7 p.m. at the Sheldon Hall in the Sheldon Hall Ballroom at SUNY Oswego. You and I think Rob Aller and
Rob Bridge and Jennifer
Vicanti.
Yeah. It's four performers and probably 25 dancers. It's really exciting, huge variety of new music, mostly composed for this event, and new dance choreography put with the new music. So it's very collaborative. It's so entertaining. I go to a lot of concerts, and I like this one because I don't have to play all the pieces and I run out and watch it. It's so fun.
But that tells you how interesting it really is, because when the performers are watching it, that's really special.
Well, you want to see what did they decide to do with this music. I mean, it's different every time. And this is actually, I think, my fourth Vision of Sound. I started playing in the Syracuse area in 2007 and quickly discovered that it was a special place because people are really interested in the arts. The level of playing is very high. And this Society for New Music, which is run by Neva Pilgrim and her colleagues, is just excellent, and they do great commissions, great concerts, and I'm just pleased to be part of it.
They get the very best musicians to come in from out of town too. We appreciate that. How are you going to close the noontime program here live at noon?
Well, we were talking earlier, and you said, it's been a pretty bad winter for us all, so maybe something a little more sunny. So this is a bergamasca, which just, if you can think of sort of a dance from Bergamo, a little town, and I like to imagine that there's a cellist playing out on the main square, this very simple bass line in the sun, and a little showing off what she can, or he or she can do with, she, way back when she could play with that bass line.
This is Elinor Frey.
It's by Giovanni Battista Vitali.
By Vitali.
Yeah.
Elinor Frey has joined us live at noon today. Elinor, thank you so much. Thank you so much.